Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for letting us at least share our thoughts. I don't see much of a debate going on, but I thought I would just stand up and share my thoughts. I recalled this morning a lot of my backpacking experiences. I really enjoyed California. I've hiked San Gorgonio a couple times, San Jacinto a couple times, Angeles Forest a few times, a lot with my dad, to the top of Mount Baldy a couple times, top of Santiago Peak, my own peak in Orange County, and spent a lot of time in the Sierras, the eastern and western, Kings Canyon, Tuolumne Meadows, Mount Whitney a couple times, almost a third time just a few years ago. So I really enjoy California, and I would have to confess that I am a tree hugger. I really love a good environment. I love a great trail. I love great scenery. I love clean air. So it was probably those hikes that we'd get back from Mount Baldy Village after a Sunday afternoon day hike with my dad, and my lungs were in such pain after those walks. Photo from Senator from Van Nuys is pretty accurate. You think at 8,000 feet you'd be above it, but it was there, and boy, you could just feel it, and you just couldn't take deep breaths. So it was probably because of those hikes with my dad that on the very first Earth Day, April 22nd, 1970, I went to school and I had a shirt, and I took a t-shirt and wrote all kinds of things about fixing the environment and combating pollution, and I was there, and what was really funny is this shy little 14-year-old was the only kid on the campus who was wearing anything or making a big deal at all about Earth Day. It was sort of awkward, but it was fun because I really have a real concern for our planet, our environment, and for our future. But on cap and trade, it's the little things that are really bugging me about this bill. It's the rush. What's the rush? It doesn't expire for a couple more years, and here we are trying to cram it down with little public input. It's like single payer. I mean, one committee meeting, and then it comes to the floor. That's not how you run a corporation, my colleagues. But this is sort of an awkward thing, and it's the inconsistencies. We just voted for a trailer bill which said that you could not automate the ports. So we have to let some union members keep their jobs. Now they've all got to drive in. They've all got to contribute to the pollution, and we can't make a port more efficient. I mean, it's just, we can't be consistent on whether we're really concerned about the environment or not. It's a duplicity that is disheartening to me. And then now we're going to get CARB that's going to come out with an incredible amount of regulations that'll be onerous and burdensome. I did a bill last year, SB 1140, that said, boy, if an agency issues regulations, they should come to this floor within 2 years and be approved by us so that we can take ownership of it. And that bill died in committee. So I appreciate the fact that we have two ways of looking at the same topic. We certainly had it for years in Orange County when we fought over El Toro Airport. Some of us thought it was a good idea to put an airport there, and some of us didn't. And boy, that was a fun time for too many years. But being a leader on climate change, at the cost to everyone, and then when you turn around in a year or so and look and there's no one following you, that's kind of an awkward parade to lead. And the reverberations are dramatic. They will be dramatic. You want to raise the price of gas a little more, it's going to affect shipping, which will affect food costs, which will affect, you can just see the ripple effect of what will happen to our economy. We might even start seeing black market gas. I can remember when Pete Wilson, when he was governor, he raised the bulk fuel tax. So the tax went up for all the large ship liners that came into our ports. And what happened was, is that all these ships decided to fuel in Oregon and Washington and Mexico. They didn't fuel in California, so our tax dropped like a rock, sort of like the cigarette tax just did last week. So we're talking about an existential threat, and we're worried about levels that are rising, but I just want to remind everybody what really is rising. Poverty in California is rising. Gas prices in California are rising. The unrestricted net deficit for the state of California is rising. In fact, it's understated in our comprehensive annual financial report. Our controller decided not to include $76.5 billion of unfunded retiree medical costs. So you add that to the $168.5 billion in our unrestricted net deficit, and folks, we're talking $250 billion underwater, the largest unrestricted net deficit in the nation. We are at no point to be making a move like this. What else is rising? Lack of review. We just can't seem to give the public any kind of time for input, and it's just amazing to me that something of this magnitude would be just crammed down. And that's what's rising too, is Jerry Brown cram down. Every time we turn around, we got another cram down that we got to deal with within a few days, a few hours, whether it's minimum wage or whether it's, you name the topic of the day. So as you're talking about increased jobs and how great everything is, I just want you to enjoy the top, because I've hiked to the top of a lot of mountains. I forgot to mention, I almost summited Mount Shasta, but just a lot of great mountains in this state. But you want to keep overburdening our economy this large with impunity, it's going to have deleterious impacts. California is not creating high-paying jobs. California is encouraging a net out-migration last 10 years. In fact, even its birth rate is declining. California has serious fiscal concerns on the horizon. Just ask the Department of Finance. So for the supermajority, I just say, we can look back at this vote, and if AB 398 fails, we can say, boy, did we dodge that bullet. Or we can say, it was a shame the legislature didn't stop the compounding of the state's taxing overreach that killed our economy insolvency. Thank you, Madam President.